Nincs szükség arra, amit itt az utca másik oldalán mutatnak. Annyira kifordult a világ, hogy nem, ez itt semmilyen téren nem visz jó irányba.
A történelem a magyar kultúra befogadásról szól. A nagyon sokféle ember közös együtt.
Hello, and welcome to the 5th episode on this series. Today, we take a look at Hungary. In this video, we will explore different articles, blogs, videos, and more importantly, facts about the European migration crisis. Come visit some of the most beautiful areas in Hungary while taking a look at the last few years and how the country has changed. We all have seen the images of migrants running for the borders. Hungary has decided to close borders and thoroughly verify documents for status for each migrant. Laws have been implemented under the new administration that makes helping refugees illegal in order to discourage migrants from coming to the Hungarian border. At the end of the day, jumping borders is illegal and a crime under immigration law.
On World Refugee Day last week, you passed a new law which makes it illegal to help migrants. It criminalises helping undocumented immigrants, and that includes asylum seekers. Why would you do that?
There are organizations who help people to ask for asylum even if they have no legal basis for that, and promoting the violation of the Hungarian border, promoting opportunities which have no legal basis. If you do so, you have to count with the consequences.
Authorities have stepped up vehicle inspections on border highways, and by Tuesday morning, police from the lower Bavaria region had caught 7 suspected people smugglers. Thousands of migrants continue to make the journey to European Union countries. Most are fleeing war and poverty in the Middle East, Africa and Asia. Here, refugees can be seen boarding a train in the Macedonian border town of Jevgelija. They're headed for Serbia, From there, many will head for Hungary and on to Germany, where they hope to start new lives.
And calling a country xenophobic, you know, it's an insult, especially if you put into consideration Hungary. And no one can take away the right of decision of us with whom we would like to live together. And yes, it is our intention to keep Hungary a Hungarian country. And yes, we do not agree with those ones who say that multiculturalism is by definition good. If you say that, we respect that.
Hungary has been on the front lines of Europe's migrant crisis for years now, and Hungarians are tired of it. Today, a tough new law came into force there, giving border authorities new power to detain asylum seekers indefinitely and house them in converted shipping containers until their cases are heard. The UN says the measure is illegal. The country's hardline prime minister, Viktor Orbán, says it'll save Europe.
Mindaddig napirenden marad, amíg mindenhol be nem látják, hogy a migráció a terrorizmus trójai falu.
You do know that you don't have an immigrant problem in Hungary. You do know that your own official data says you have 3,600 asylum seekers in a country of 10 million. You do know that there were 300 asylum claims only this year. You don't have an immigrant problem in your country.
No, you know, the challenge is that since the policy of the European Union is still built on invitation, and there are tens of millions around Europe who can hit the road very easily.
It's gone down 51% in the last year.
But
it's gone down 81% in the last 2 years.
Okay.
So when you talk about this invitation, you're inventing something that doesn't exist anymore.
If you allow me to finish. In the last 3 years, we had time to build the capacities to be able to protect ourselves from the south. We had the time to build capacities to control our border. Now tell me, if the Western Balkan route gets activated again, who will stop the illegal migrants? The first defense line is still Hungary, the southern border of Hungary, because the countries south from us either do not have the capacity or do not have the willingness to stop such kind of influxes. You echo lies. You do echo lies in this television. And I don't think it's fair that you are unbalanced, you are one-sided. You look only at the opinion of those ones who are frustrated because they lost elections. They wanted to fire that government.
Okay,
and that government won the third consecutive election with a constitutional majority. Why don't we respect the decision of the people?
The problem with the EU is it believes in tolerance, diversity and human rights.
But is it your problem or what?
The mainstream news channels that are corporate funded tend to always follow the rhetoric of the globalist agenda. They support open borders. They want to show compassion and empathy, and they will use emotional traps to attack basic emotions in human beings, like showing women and children suffering in their journey while ignoring the even greater masses of military-aged men. All of them trying to reach what have become the great Muslim centrals in Europe, Germany and Sweden. These are two of the favorite choices for refugees, as they are already positioned in government and segregated in their own cities. So it's easier to keep living the same life as before, not really integrating.
The French president billed himself as a main opponent to the hardline anti-migrant politicians currently holding power in Italy and Hungary. That's after the pair united to fight existing EU migration policies and vowed to take power into their own hands in the next elections for the European Parliament. RT's Charlotte Dubinsky reports from Paris.
We're seeing clear signs developing as we head towards those European elections in 2019. And what we're seeing is the big divisions between the leaders of EU nations, with Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, declaring today that he would be in opposition to the leaders of Italy and Hungary if that's what they wanted, and he would stand up against their policies.
It is indeed clear that today there is a strong opposition between nationalists and progressives, and I will not give anything away to nationalists and to those who deliver this hate speech. And so if they wanted to see me as their main opponent, they are right.
So the current situation is like that. There are two sides. One is led by Macron, who is supporting migration. We are on the other side, trying to stop illegal immigration. This issue is strongly debated inside the European People's Party, and we want our line to be accepted.
We're asking for collaboration, first of all, from the large countries, the countries that share a border with us, like France. The first person who should show his sensitivity and solidarity is the French president by reopening the border at Ventimiglia, and he can do so even tomorrow morning.
Nem internacionalisták vagyunk, hanem nacionalisták.
Az, hogy most biztonságban itt lehetünk most, egyetlen egy menekült sem rohangál az utcákon. Nagyon
nyugodtan kimerünk jönni az utcára, és nem azt látjuk, hogy Párizsban, Bécsben, Németországban, Svédországban és a környező országokban történik. És éljen Orbán Viktor.
Éljen Orbán Viktor.
In Hungary, clashes between police and migrants on the border with Serbia saw the use of water cannon to disperse the crowds. The country has been accused of treating refugees worse than wild animals after the government rejected an EU quota system to relocate asylum seekers across its member states.
Slovakia have lashed out at Brussels after the EU's highest court ruled that the countries will have to abide by mandatory migrant quotas. Both countries earlier tried to challenge the programme and refused to take refugees in.
It was not illegal or expert, but a political decision. Politics has raped European law and European values.
The verdict by the European Court of Justice doesn't bring any new quality. Political position of my government on quotas and migrants has not changed at all.
Well, the EU's migrant quota system was introduced back in 2015 at the height of the migrant crisis, and under the scheme, all member states are required to take in a share of refugees arriving in Greece and Italy via the Mediterranean. Hungary rejected the programme, taking in 0 out of its quota of 1,300 refugees. Poland took a similar stance, and Slovakia received less than a dozen migrants out of more than 800. A professor of European Studies told us that the EU is putting its own survival at risk by imposing these rules on its member states.
Actually, the people who are preaching about solidarity in Europe and cohesion in Europe are actually undermining the unity of Europe by forcing states to do things they don't like, they don't want to have, which they see as interference in their sovereignty. So I think that in this case, the more pressure will be put on rebellion states like Hungary, Slovakia and others that are opposing the open door policy, the illegal migration to Europe, will work like a boomerang. It will undermine European unity, and in the end, it is a ticking time bomb that might contribute to the final collapse of the European Union.
What a migration crisis. What we Hungarians had to experience last year was a mass migration through our country. 400,000 people actually marched through Hungary by violating our border, breaking our regulations, attacking our police, occupying our public areas. The right to a safe life is a fundamental human right, but it's not a fundamental human right to pick a country where you would like to live in, and in order to get there, just cross borders wherever and whenever you feel like.
The race is on to get Hungary's border fence ready by the end of the month. It's being built by prison inmates at this steelworks at Dunaújváros in central Hungary and put in place by soldiers and the unemployed. It's a radical answer to what the Hungarian government says is an intolerable situation.
The nature and the number of illegal migrants entering the European Union is unwanted by all the European countries. Nobody is prepared for the integration, for the incorporation of 1 million people that is going to reach, according to the estimates, this year.
This fence is something of an experiment for the Hungarian government. First they said it would be ready by the end of November, now by the end of August. It's designed to send a message to the tens or hundreds of thousands of people on their way up through the Balkans to Hungary.
I'm warning you that you're at the Hungarian border. I'm warning you to hold back from committing this crime.
tehát a teljes szerb határszakaszon kiépítették ezt a biztonsági határzárat, 174 kilométeren, több százan próbáltak meg átjutni, és szükség volt arra, hogy ezt a védelmet erősítsük, és legyen egy erősebb.
At the height of the refugee crisis in 2015, up to 13,000 people were crossing the border into Hungary every day. Now, barbed wire fencing, armed patrols and cameras means very few make it in.
38,000 people entered the EU through Hungary last month alone. Rumours that a new barrier will soon block their path have probably increased their numbers. On arrival, they're rounded up by police and taken to this registration camp near the border.
So you come from Ghana?
Yes.
How difficult was the journey?
It's very bad. Very bad. Very bad. With a pregnant woman, with the children.
How old are your children?
2 and 4.
While the Hungarian government sometimes gives the impression that Hungary is a country opposed to all asylum seekers, many dozens of volunteers here in Szeged, close to the Serbian border and elsewhere in the country, are out to give a different impression.
A mi véleményünk szerint nem a problémát kell behozni az Európai Unióba, hanem ott kell segítenünk, ahol a baj forrása keletkezik. Legyen szó pénzügyi segítségről. Valamennyi erőforrásunkat nem oszhatjuk el, mert akkor egy idő múlva nekünk sem marad.
We are going to Europe, to Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, to Sweden, to find a better life.
The Hungarian government is building the fence now. Will that stop you if there's a fence in the way?
That will be hard to us, but I think when we looking for life, nothing will stop us.
We are the human rights. We are human. We are not animal. We must go to open camp. We are crazy in here.
In 2018, the figures show that so far around 82,000 migrants have come to Europe across land or from the sea. In addition to that, 1,500 people are feared to be missing or have died in the crossing in the Mediterranean.
The push from the left to convert Europe into a multicultural pool of homogenized DNA has also sparked up the right wing in Hungary. Viktor Orbán is a Hungarian politician serving as Prime Minister of Hungary since 2010. He has won elections this year for the 3rd time in a row. I hope the message is clear for the European Union. Hungary will always fight back. Orbán and the Hungarian Foreign Minister are calling out one of the greatest manipulators of societies and public opinion worldwide. This man has meddled in all first world nations in order to bring chaos and destabilize an area for profit. We are talking about George Soros, well known in the USA for funding movements that cause public unrest, and just like in the USA, according to Hungarian politicians, has injected over $15 billion into European campaigns for mass migration. By now, you should know why he does this.
I can say there's a war. There's a war against white race. Nowadays, you can say whatever you want, except if you're heterosexual, if you're white, and if you're...
Miért szeretek betyársereges lenni? Hát, igazából itt mindent megkapok azt, ami az összetartást. Tényleg ez a szüksége van ahhoz, hogy kialakuljon szerintem ez a pozitív mentális gondolkodás. harcra mi sosem készülünk, mi készek vagyunk.
Lazán, levegő, fújt ki, amikor ütsz.
Beklincseled, hátsó, cserét, hátsó, akár.
A vetyárseregbe, aki bekerül, ott csak olyan kerül be, akiknek, idézőjesen mondom, kinyílott már a szem. A felvételi procedúra az úgy zajlik, hogy egyértelműen mindenképp legyél magyar, legyél fehér. A zsidó az kerüljön el minket. Nem ott csatlakozhatna, hanem lehet, hogy le is köpném. A sport mindig honvédelem.
Tehát akár csak ugye a fronton is, ugye, vagy akár most ugye nálunk lenne a határvédelemnél, ott is a katonák effektíve nem lőnek, nem lőhet. Sokszor ugye szúró, vágóeszközöknél nem használhatnak tűzfegyvert, és puszta kézzel kell megvédeni magukat, meg a hazát.
The Highwaymen is, I would say, the second most significant far-right organization in Hungary. Many members of the organization used to be members of the police and of the army. So there are members who are really trained.
Ja, dobjuk le a kesszit.
Jó, hát ebben azért van erő, jó.
Ezt most nem nagy képviségből mondom, de saját magunkat tartom. Itt tényleg azt mondom, hogy az egyedüli állónak, aki itt labdába tudna rúgni.
Experts assume that it could be a few hundred men who are part of the organization, maximum probably 1,000 people. And the organization was formed by László Toroczkai, who is one of the most significant figures of the Hungarian far right.
A magyar-szerb határon fekvő Ásotthalom polgármestere vagyok. Mindenkit örömmel látunk, aki a törvényeket betartva a kijelölt határátkelőhelyen keresztül érkezik az országunkba. De aki illegálisan próbálja átlépni a határt, könnyen börtönbe kerülhet. Magyarország határait mostantól egy folyamatosan épülő kerítés, valamint több ezer rendőr és a magyar hadsereg védi.
A self-styled nationalist elected to lead a democratic country. A fear that Islam is incompatible with that country's culture. A border fence to keep out migrants. Does that all sound familiar? It does in Hungary, where Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has been taking that European Union country in a decidedly populist direction. NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Chris Livesay has our report from Budapest.
From its magnificent parliament building to its castles, churches, and neoclassical statues, Hungary is a country with history on full display. It's also being called a harbinger of Europe's political future. Hungary is a member of the European Union and NATO, but politics here have steadily become more nationalist, led by Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, considered to be the most influential populist leader in Europe today. The most visible symbol of nationalist Hungary? This new electrified fence on the country's southern border with Serbia, built to protect what Orbán calls Christian Europe from invaders. Zoltán Kovács is Hungary's government spokesperson.
We truly believe that in Europe, Christianity has a special role. Islam and Christianity are not going to integrate because they are different. Many have accused us by Islamophobia. This is not the case. We all know that the clash of cultures and civilizations is indeed existing. And when it comes on you, as it happened back in 2015, it was really all alarming.
The 2015 crisis, when hundreds of thousands of mostly Muslim migrants and refugees fled north into Europe, was a tipping point, says Kovács. While other governments debated what to do, Hungary acted.
We have built a fence, a physical barrier. We have reinforced our border control. Thousands of Hungarian policemen and soldiers are securing the border. Over 400,000 crossed the borders into Hungary and passing through Hungary that year. Today, these numbers are basically down to zero. Many say that there's no need for the fence because nobody's coming. But
You're saying they're not coming because we have a fence.
The reason is the other way around. They're not coming because there's the fence.
Another election, another overwhelming victory. Conservative leader Viktor Orban is looking forward to a third successive term as Prime Minister. His Eurosceptic and anti-immigration policies attracted nearly half of all ballots cast on Sunday.
Regarding the results of the election, I can tell you, my dear friends, that it was a big battle and that we have gained a decisive victory. We now have the opportunity to defend our country. We have created that opportunity for ourselves.
Feel like I need to fight for my country. Since mass immigration started, we had a bunch of clashes between the cultures, and the problem is that the culture that is, I should say, it's invading us is not compatible with European culture.
Európa már most invázió alatt áll. Ha hagyjuk, a következő egy-két évtizedben 10 és 10 milliók indulnak meg Európába, Afrikából és a Közel-Keletről. A nyugat-európai fiatalok még látni fogják, amikor kisebbségbe kerülnek a saját országukban, és elvesztik az egyetlen otthonnak nevezhető helyet a világon.
Orban's victory is the latest populist triumph in Europe. Far-right or nationalist parties have also scored well in Italy and Austria in recent months. Winning a third consecutive term could also embolden him on the EU stage. Some officials in Brussels have been critical of what they see as Orban's authoritarian tendencies, pointing to increased government influence over the media and civil society. But there's little evidence that any European governments are ready to take Hungary head-on.
Episode 1 has been blocked due to a copyright claim. It just so happens to be that the 2 minutes in dispute were the moments a refugee is accepting that everything taught to them in those integration classes will be forgotten the moment they have the residency papers. The answer is not mass migration, which is a globalist-inspired agenda to destroy European identity. This is how you solve a declining population. You incentivize large families, making it financially viable for families to have many children. Something similar has happened in Poland, where women who have over 4 children will be entitled to a full pension. If you want to read these articles, check the links in the description area.
Unwelcomed by Viktor Orban, who was re-elected for a third term in a landslide last April. Orban has singled out one particular man as an enemy, American billionaire philanthropist George Soros. The 88-year-old Soros, who was born in Budapest, supports democracy and human rights causes around the world. Orban considers him a foreign influence and threat. So much so that this summer he enacted a package of laws called Stop Soros, aimed at further confronting illegal immigration. Pardavi's
embereket. Az osztrák képviselő úr
antiszemitizmussal kapcsolatos vádat fogalmazott meg Magyarországgal szemben. Szeretném önt tájékoztatni arról, tisztelt képviselő úr, hogy Magyarországnak igenis vitája van Soros Györggyel. Nem értünk egyet többek között a bevándorlás politikával kapcsolatban képviselt álláspontok vonatkozásában. Soros György nyilvánvalóan azt kívánta, hogy ez a kormány ne választ adjak. Én azt gondolom, hogy az jogos elvárás a magyar emberek részéről, hogy mindazon szervezetek forrásai átláthatóak legyenek, akik a magyar népakaratot, a magyar közvéleményt befolyásolni akarják. Teljesen legitim ez az elvárás például a politikai pártokkal szemben. Na de teljesen legitim ez az elvárás azokkal az NGO-kkal szemben is, akik nyíltan politikai szerepet vállalnak, akik külföldről kapnak finanszírozást, és befolyásolni akarják a magyar emberek véleményét. Vajon miért kell titkolni, hogy milyen forrásokból gazdálkodnak? Miért kell titkolni, hogy honnan kapják a pénzügyi eszközeiket?
Well, Mr. Orbán, thank God there's at least one European leader prepared to stand up for his principles, his nation, his culture and his people in the face of such extreme bullying. Thank God you're there, is all I can say. And I'm sure for Hungarians of a certain age, today will have brought back many dark memories. You're here at a show trial where a bunch of political non-entities get up and point the finger and scream, enjoying themselves with their afternoon hate. And the chief prosecutor, the commissar that comes from the unelected government, he has the audacity to lecture you on democracy. You don't know what you're talking about. The fact that you've got 50% of the vote in your country and that no one has ever voted for Timmermans or can't remove him seems to have passed him by. How many times have you he's also telling you you're not getting your judicial appointments right, you've got to change things. This the man who's one of the bosses of a European Commission that appoints Martin Selmayr driving a coach and horses through all the rules that exist here. You're being told what is really happening here, Mr. Orbán, is they're just updating the Brezhnev doctrine of limited sovereignty. There's no point pretending in this union you're independent. There's no point pretending you run your own country. And Article 7 is the new method of adopting that. They want to strip you of your voting rights. They want to stop giving you European funding. And all of it because you have the audacity to stand up to George Soros, the man who has poured $15 billion all over the world in trying to break down the nation states, to get rid of our traditional forms of democracy. And in Hungary, of course, he spent money to promote illegal immigration into your country, and you, quite rightly, have stood up to him and closed him down. I wish we all did the same. Mr. Orbán, you keep saying you want to stay a member of this European Union. But it's not just your country that's been insulted today. You've been insulted today. Time to be more logical. Come and join the Brexit club. You'll love it.
Elnök úr, beszéljünk egyenesen. Magyarországot azért akarják elítélni, mert a magyar emberek úgy döntöttek, hogy a mi hazánk nem lesz bevándorló ország. Kellő tisztelettel, de a leghatározottabban visszautasítom, hogy az Európai Parlament bevándorlás és migránspárti erői fenyegessék, zsarolják és hazug vádak alapján rágalmazzák Magyarországot és a magyar embereket. Tisztelettel tájékoztatom önöket, akármilyen döntést hoznak is. Magyarország nem enged a zsarolásnak, Magyarország védeni fogja a határait, megállítja az illegális migrációt, és védeni fogja a jogait, ha kell, önökkel szemben is. Mi magyarok készen állunk a jövő évi májusi választásokra, ahol végre az emberek dönthetnek Európa jövőjéről, és visszahozhatják a demokráciát az európai politikába. Köszönöm a figyelmüket.
regardless of your perspective, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your gender or nationality. There is clearly a problem in countries that have received a high influx of asylum seekers and economic migrants. In some areas, life as they knew it will never be the same again, and the Hungarians are worried about what their country might turn into. Join us next time to take a look at another country in this series. Become a patron if you like this content. Like, share and subscribe, as this content will not be on television.